Welcome to the channel. This is the new Honda CRV, and this particular model is a fully plug-in hybrid, which is really interesting, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Let's check out the top 5 features of this car and also what I really like about the design. Number 1 in my top 5 features is the fact that this is indeed a full hybrid, which gives you 50 miles of WLTP range, 50 miles on electric only. And we're going to test that out later on when I take it for a drive, compare the hybrid and the electric only driving. But I love that fact that we have that on here. Also, this white paint, which is an extra option, sparkles in this light. It's really beautiful paint. I like it a lot. I really like these 18-inch black alloy wheels. I think they look great. They're only available as 18 inches. It would be nice to have them as a bigger option, but they look great. Number 4 is this big aggressive grille. It looks amazing. The 5th thing I love is the way Honda uses hybrids in their cars in the UK, whether it's their eHEV system or this new ePHEV system, which I'll explain in a little bit. This is a lot larger than the previous generations. This is actually 59 millimeters longer and 10 millimeters wider. I don't actually know how big 10 millimeters is, but it's a wider car, so there's a lot more space in it. Let's talk about this, the powertrain on the Honda hybrid CRV. So there are 2 hybrid versions, the full hybrid and the plug-in hybrid. I find that naming convention a bit confusing actually, but the full hybrid doesn't have a separate electric range, so you can't just drive it along in electric. What it does is it uses the engine to power the battery, which then powers the motors, and only when you get to a certain speed does the engine actually power the wheels, and then it turns off again and goes back to powering the battery, which then powers the motors, which then powers the wheels. So most of the time you're not driving in a mode where the wheels are connected to the engine, and that is not very common. Honda does it in all the cars, but that seems to be it. Now this is a plug-in hybrid, which to me is a full hybrid, but anyway, forgetting the naming is a bit confusing. What that means is this has a 17.7 kilowatt hour battery, which can run 50.1 miles of WLTP range. And I'm going to drive it in electric only mode later so you can see what it's like. What that means is when the battery gets low, the engine kicks on to power the battery with electricity, essentially acting like a generator. Because it's a generator, it's giving energy to the motors, and the motors then power the wheels. And it's very clever. It means this car is extra super efficient. And we'll talk more about that later. The first thing you'll notice about this car is these doors open 90 degrees. So it means you've got a lot of space to get in the car. In fact, almost too much space, as I basically fell into the car there. And sitting in the back here, the seats actually do recline a bit. You can see that here, and I can adjust the recline if I want to, even back further if I want to, and bring it forward if I want to too, which is good. So we've got some adjustments in the back here. I'm 1.78 m, so we've got that much space in the legroom. However, as you can see, headroom is actually surprisingly less than I would expect. Is that because of this massive sunroof? Well, maybe, but I think that brings in lots of nice light, which is really important to the car. In terms of comfort, I am comfortable back here. This also pulls down, so you got a bit of space here. We've got 2 USB Type-Cs back here. We've got a nice pocket here, and the doors are nicely trimmed with cool little speaker designs there. So spacious in the back. You could definitely fit 3 adults in here. This cool reclining seat design is also really interesting, and I like it. Now, this is, as I mentioned, a plug-in hybrid, which means it has electric only range. And right now the car is on, but you can't hear anything because it is in electric only mode. Remember, we've got 50.1 miles of WLTP range, which we're going to try out a bit later. Inside, the design of this is very Honda. Honda have really nice steering wheels. They feel good. This steering wheel is heated too, so I can turn it on. Not that I need it because it's very warm today, as has been recently. I can see I'm in EV mode because there's a little green EV on the screen. Now in the hybrid version, which is not plug-in, it will say EV, but you don't have any control over when you have that because it just does it automatically depending on the very small battery. But this has got a much larger battery, so it means that it has that EV only range. Design wise, I have to say, I really like how Honda just have buttons here that you can press to change gear. So I can go into reverse or park or put into regen braking when driving just by pressing the buttons here. We've got our drive mode buttons. This car has 360-degree cameras, which lets you see all around the car as well. And then we have this mesh design here, which reminds me of the Honda Civic. It's on there as well. And then underneath it, there's a little metallic area, which also has little hexagons in it. So I like that. We've got a little tray here. There's plenty of space to store stuff down here. And we of course have wireless charging here, which is good. And there's a little button and a light down there which turns on so you can see when it's on or when it's off. The infotainment system in here is pretty easy to use. It's not the most beautiful looking system, could do with a design update, and in all honesty I'd love it if Honda had a bigger screen. The Honda E had a whole row of screens across the dashboard which looked amazing. Honda has been a bit more simplistic with the infotainment system, but it does everything you can want. No complaints here. We got navigation, we got Apple CarPlay, which works when you have an internet connection, which I don't have right now. We have the PHEV menu where we can see what's going on. We can see our power flow to see what's going on with our range and our charge. You can see we've got 0 miles of range right now in the battery. So we need some range on here, which would be very, very handy. If we look at the driver's display here, it's also very easy to use. We can scroll through the options here. We can see what's going on, and it's nice and clear. And I always want a nice, clear system. We have our speed, obviously, and we've got our charge on the left-hand side, and we've got the speed in the middle as well in digital. And you can change through the modes on the right-hand side as well as the left-hand side. So it's a very intuitive system to use. If you're looking for space, we have 587 litres of space back here, which is more than the Volvo XC60 and the Kia Sportage. So it's very, very spacious. There are hooks, there are tether points. You can put the seats down as well from the back. There's even bits here to attach the tonneau cover to. We've got everything here, and there's even a small storage space below for charging cables underneath. So plenty of space, bigger than the competition, more than you can need. Now, another cool feature I love is this button up here, which means it closes when I walk away. So you can see it's lit up now. I'm here, it's not coming down, but when I walk away, if everything goes according to plan, it should come down by itself. This makes it really easy. You won't get hit on the head if you're standing there, and you don't have to come back and close it as well. Are you worried about your online data? Well, I have a solution which means you don't have to worry at all. It's called Aura, who are the sponsor of today's video. Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me, which is a fantastic feature. You may already have one or two of these tools, such as a VPN or a password manager, but Aura has it all in one, and it's fantastic value. Aura is always working to keep you safe in the background so you can concentrate on other things which are more important in life. I value my privacy and I value your privacy. So go to aura.com/techinthecar. Let's talk about EV mode in a hybrid. So we're in this car. It has a 17 kilowatt hour battery, which is good for about 50 miles WLTP range, which means that when I turn this car on and I start it, I'm driving it in EV mode. And in fact, I press the EV mode button down here, so it only stays in EV mode. Now, this works slightly differently to the normal hybrid, because on that, the engine basically only ever turns on when it goes faster. In this car, because this is a hybrid, it only ever powers the motors through the battery. So the engine is never actually connected to the wheels on this car. At least that's how I understand Honda's explanation. So we're driving along now in EV mode. I've got 42 miles of range in EV mode, and I can swap through the drive modes to sport to have a bit more of that EV acceleration and power, which certainly works, which is very good to see. But if I go into normal, then it's normal. But I mean, this is an EV. This is now driving as an EV. I got 50 miles. What's great about this is I could drive around my town, drive around the city, never use petrol, only ever use EV mode. At the end of the night, plug it in at home, and this car is never running in petrol. It is an EV with a small range compared to other EVs, but it's still an EV. But if I do want to go farther, if I do want to drive across country, no problem. The car will turn into the engine mode, powering the batteries when I run out of range on EV mode, and then I can also have it charge the car back up, so that when I get to my destination, I might have some EV range again. So I never have to worry about it. That's what's great about these plug-in hybrids. Let's talk about the trims of this car. There's the Elegance, there's the Advance, and there's the Advanced Tech. The Elegance and the Advance is only available on the full hybrid, which does not have electric only range, and that's also all-wheel drive. The advanced tech is only available on this, the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, which has the electric only range, and this is only front wheel drive. This car starts at £53,000 as spec. This particular car has the paint as an extra option, which adds another £700 approximately to the cost. The full hybrid starts at £45,000. So these are not inexpensive cars. I think they're about the right price point for what they are. They're premium, high tech and high quality, but there are other cars the same size which cost less, and there are other cars the same price that cost more. Let's talk about the ride and the comfort of this car. Well, this is a large car, so if you buy one of these, you're buying it because you know that you need that size, you need that space in the car. So how does it handle, how does it feel for a car like that? Well, I would say that first of all, on the 18-inch wheels, which is the only option on this car, it handles all the bumps in the road very well. They're not really discomforting to me as I go over them. They're fine. I barely notice them. To be honest, considering the size of this car, I would expect to feel a lot more bumps. I don't. So the suspension is great for what it is, a big car on 18-inch wheels. Now, maybe if it had bigger wheels, that wouldn't be the case. Maybe that's why Honda don't offer bigger wheels. I don't know, but it's comfortable and it's easy to drive. In terms of power, with 180 horsepower, it's not a slow car. Now, it is a big car and it is a heavy car, which means that you're not obviously getting the performance of a smaller, lighter EV, for example, even though that might be heavier because that's all EV, but it's easy enough to maneuver. There's a great 360 camera system which lets you see everything going on around you, so you're never in doubt about where you are, and that's more than you can want and need in a car like this. And it has all the latest safety features: lane assist, adaptive cruise control. Now, we do have regen braking on this car. If I press the button which says D and B, I then go into regen, and then I can use the paddles to adjust the regen braking. So we get something which is similar to one pedal driving. It's not quite as aggressive as on the full EVs, but it does work. So it means that I can put regen braking to put the electricity back into the car, which is a really, really good thing that this car does, and it's easy enough to use. You just have to remember to press the D and B button down in the middle. Let's check the 0 to 60 time. V+ Performance Touch Pro, 0 to 60, 9.4. It says, you can see the engine is kicked in now. Are we gonna get there? 9.4 seconds. Are we going to get there? 68.76 seconds. This SUV looks the part. It's muscular, it's aggressive, it's large, maybe even the most aggressive of all of Honda's models. I would argue this may be even more aggressive than the Civic Type R, although it's a totally different kind of car. It's got the latest technology, it's comfortable, it's got everything you could want. But the key thing here, why I'd always recommend the plug-in hybrid version over the full hybrid version, is that electric only range. Now, everybody is different, and some people love the efficiency of knowing with a hybrid, even if it's not plug-in, they get that range which comes from the small battery and from the motors being assisted. However, with the plug-in hybrid version, it's very simple. It's a hybrid. And when you need more power, the engine powers the battery and the motors. Simple as that. And because you get that 50 miles of range, or probably 30 miles of real world usage, it means that you can drive around the city and you don't have to worry about paying for petrol. So in a world where everything is more expensive, this is a great car for efficiency. And if you need to carry a large number of people long distances, then this is a great option, because you have that electric range, you have that efficiency, but you know that you're not going to run out in the middle because it's a full hybrid and you can plug it in. And if you want to use it as an EV only, stay within 50 miles, plug it in every night, and you never have to even turn on the engine. How cool is that? Please give this video a like and subscribe for more on the channel. And if you want to see other plug-in hybrids, please look here. Thanks for watching.